our ply to put on the walls, and yeah, finish our first fix.
Yeah, we've gone for 12mm hardwood on the walls. Obviously would have used 9 but simply wasn't in stock, so we thought sod it, we'll go for 12 and see how it goes. Obviously a little bit harder to manipulate, but we'll work with that, and just see how it goes basically.
Just wing it.
Yeah, just wing it.
We started marking and cutting our first piece of ply. We measured from the floor up to our first batten.
With these bits, what we decided to do was use the cut edge against the floor, because that way you can hide any imperfections behind all your cabinetry and all that jazz. That shit. If you look to your top right, you'll see a link to our previous video where we went along our vapour barrier and marked out where all our battens are.
We offered up the first piece on both sides. It fit, so we could use this as a template for the next piece.
Probably teaching a lot of you to blow smoke or suck eggs rather, but if you've never done it, it's a useful tip. So once you've measured out, we're cutting a very simple piece of just a square shape here. So measure your distance. For us it's 1402 mil, so we go along, make those marks. If you haven't already, get yourself one of these, framing square, and because this is a mill piece of timber, it should be, in the key word, be nice and square and straight. So you use this perfectly right angled edge, get it along the bottom. I'll do it this side so you can see. Come to me. So you get this straight edge along the bottom there. Just use your thumbs to get it nice and flat with the bottom, and then use the ruler edge to line your marks up, and they should, once that's in place, hold it down, make sure it doesn't shift, and then draw your line. And that way you ensure you get a nice straight line at a nice proper right angle to this, what you know should be a straight edge. Once you've done one line, now that you know that line is nice and straight and square, you can use that with your square to mark up your next line. You just mark up, and I can't see there, can you tell me on that, babe? There?
Yes.
Yeah. And then you just run your pencil along. You can test that with a square by putting your square in and seeing she's nice and straight.
We also marked up where the cables need to be pulled through and routed those.
So the first 2 bottom sheets have gone in, and we've drilled the holes for the wires and pulled them through. We've then scribed this back edge to get it nice and flush along with this line, and done the same thing for this because it contours in at the top. And what we're having to do now, when we put in our battens in, we should have put a couple going horizontally like this. We haven't, so now we're putting them in. It needs some more meat to bite into because you've only got a little bit of metal there, and then when you move around here, you've just got one bit of battening in each spread. Try and get some of these grips, or get some of the press and hold on this to push the panel in, because we're using 12mm. It's not so malleable, so we've just used some of these Irwin grips to get a nice tight flush fit. So then when we put our screws in, we're putting lots of them quite tightly all the way along, spread the load, so then you get a nice tight seal against that seam rather than having it all bowing out. So for this section, what we're going to have to do is we're going to do this in 2 pieces, because it's too wide to use one sheet of 8x4. So we're going to bring the bottom piece up to the bottom of this piece of metal is sort of here, if you can see where I'm pushing in, just where my fingers are. So we'll overlap it as little as we can get away with, so it leaves plenty of space on this metal beam for us to put what is going to be the top piece. Because what we're trying to achieve is to keep the piece that frames the window all as one piece. When it comes to making the sill, we're not going to cut it, the panel flush to this edge. We're going to bring it a little bit higher, put a batten in behind it, and then we can box in the window, and you'll see how we do that later on. To work out where our cut's going to be for our window frame, put something flat on top, which is where your window sill is going to sit. We want ours to be as close to the metal as possible, so there. So, and then all you do is you'll measure that. In this case, we can use a square. Dog's farting. And I know, because I've done this already, it's 4 inches. With that on top is where we want to sit. So we know the bottom cut of what will be the gap for the window on this piece of timber we cut out is going to be 4 inches. And you then repeat the same thing round the sides. That's in 6 inches, which lines up with this edge here. Bang on 6 inches. And you do the same thing. You mark it out. Obviously, you measure the distance between it. Put it on your timber and cut it out. I whipped out the jigsaw, made a few pilot holes for the corners, and cut out the shape for the window. It all started to go downhill from here pretty rapidly, and I spat my dummy out. See what I mean? It's like nice all the way down there. As you come up, it's just a tiny little lip. And it's not much, it's really not much. It's like a couple of mil that's got to come off. Let's have another go at that. So it's back to the jigsaw for some more trimming. It's typical, isn't it? Got right to the end of the cut on this, look down, and saw that. In case you ain't realised, perfect tool for the job. I was just messing around with the jigsaw and doing this, trying to get the blade to sit straight. Right here, I was being such a baby, I had to go with a router just out of spite. But have a look at that. I've seen better looking things hanging up my arse. Is she going to fit this time? Yeah, it's in. Looks like shit. That's what I mean. The state of that. Hideous. Disgusting! So we're finished with the walls. It was horrible. Hated it. Least enjoyable part of the build so far. Backed my dummy out loads of times.
I stayed out the way doing the washing.
Yeah, in the safe zone. But the walls are up, and
Yeah.
it, you know, most of it we're not too fussed about. Because as I say, it's going to be filled.
Yeah, like the tiny bits is where the overhead cupboards are going to go. So we have actually thought about where it's a bit dodgy, but they'll be covered up.
The important thing is it's on, it's solid, there's no flex in it, and it's nice and strong enough for us to drill into.
Yeah, it's definitely solid. So now we're going to box in the wheel arches. This should be an easy bit, so I'm going to get involved with this bit. We framed out the wheel arches using some 2x1 battens. The pocket hole jig we bought earlier came in useful again for getting clean and consistent joins. We cut out some cover pieces from our ply supply and screwed them up. We repeated the process from the other side and we were finally done.
So the next part of the build for us is going to be put the bed space in, put the bed frame in, have the garage space made, and then we can start finalising the garage space, because in the interim the spearfishing season's fast approaching.
Still want to get up some mountains.
We've still got a few climbs to do. We couldn't get out much in this winter season, not that you care about, you don't care about that, it's a Vandal video. Yeah, we're winter mountaineers and spearfishers, bro. So the next part of the build is we're going to crack on with all the little... Amy's laughing because I've tried to take this take about 4 fucking times. Yeah, no, jokes aside, we want to close the back off so we can get at least a bed frame up so we've got somewhere to put our heads down.
That's all we need, really.
And get all the power set up, get the solar controller in, that hooked up, batteries in, and at least we've got a bit of power in the van, makes it more usable.
So once we've got the bed frame in, we're going to think about the garage, because it's going to be obviously a fixed bed, and then the garage underneath, some sort of hard rubber kicker plate all over on the ceiling. What is it? Checker plate?
Checker plate.
Kicker plate.
Put some hard kicker plate into floor of garage, huh? Kicker plate. So we're going to put some hard checker plate, like rubber type shit, down in the floor of the garage.
So it's easy to clean, you can throw your crap in, your dirty boots, and then you can give it a good old clean after.
Yeah. You can...
Why are you doing your knob?
Because I'm speaking in my head. You can kicker off your boots into the back and don't worry about it, on the kicker plate. But...